the guy from Rounder Records, you know? It just doesn't make any sense.
Or Caveman when they were.
Yes, so that's Smoking and Toasting was live. That's the last Caveman. That's right. I just got that. So Smoking and Toasting, are we live?
Yep.
We're live now, so just go to it and hit share. And there we are.
Now wait.
Share and share now public. And that way it shares it out to all your friends so they know you're on Smoking and Toasting. And hi, Facebook Live. What's up?
So wait, hang on. You have to walk me through this like one more
So
time.
you go to the Smoking and Toasting page.
Okay.
So search Smoking apostrophe and assign Toasting. And then you go to the page, and if you scroll down just a little bit, it'll say Smoking and Toasting is live, and you click on share.
Okay, wait a minute. Pages. Smoking and Toasting podcast. Okay. All right. Home post videos, share photo. Live now. Okay.
Yeah, and so you do share, and then it'll pop up, and it'll have some options, and the one you want to share public.
So share post now.
Mm-hmm.
And
share public. All right, guys. Oh, and you'll want to turn your volume down or mute your phone, so you won't hear that weird echoey thing. What's up, Facebook Live?
so share post now.
So make sure to mute your phone or turn the volume down. All right, guys. So whose phone am I hearing?
Oh, and you'll want to turn your volume
Is
Right.
it me?
Yep.
Sorry.
That's all right.
All right.
There we go.
There.
All right. Facebook Live is up and running, and Adam, we are ready when you are. So just real quick before this goes, we're going to be tasting 12 beers.
Okay.
12 beers.
Yes,
All
12
right.
beers. So there'll be small samples of each.
Okay.
We will be doing 4 per segment in segments 2, 3, and 4 of the show. In segment 5, we'll taste a little tequila, and then we'll come back with our final results for what we liked. So he's going to pour us 4 per segment once we start. We won't know what they are, so we'll taste them. We'll comment about what we think, make some notes, because at the end of that segment, you're going to say which ones, you're going to put them in order. I like this one best, followed by this one and this one. And then he will tell us what they were.
Okay.
And then once you know what they are, you'll want to make a note about the ones you particularly liked, because at the end I'll be asking what was your top 5 out of everything.
Okay.
Okay.
And I brought back Miller Lite and Bud Light as control, because they were both in the last segment.
Yes, they were quite
well, Miller Lite did really well. Bud Light did not, which we'll talk about. But
yeah,
but I
Very
brought
confusing.
those back kind of as control to
Good.
keep the two.
because I haven't eaten craw for a whole year, so hopefully I can redeem myself today.
It'll be interesting to see. All right, Adam, whenever you're ready. So the first segment, we'll just I got a little cigar review. We'll talk. And we'll
Okay.
just kind of shoot the shit for the first. And there's five segments of 12 minutes apiece is how we do the show.
Okay.
Okay. Well. Welcome, my friends, to this fine radio program known as Smoking and Toasting. It is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Welcome to show number 72.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe we've done this many shows?
Are you guys going to
Amazing.
do a big special on the 100th show?
When we hit 100, it's just going to be debauchery.
That's when you
Okay.
go into syndication.
Right,
So,
we go into syndication, you bring in strippers, you do the whole thing. That's what it'll be.
I just want to know if there's going to be cake and can I come?
Yes, absolutely. You're
Okay.
all invited. Welcome to show number 72. Today's show will be our Light Beer Blind Taste Test 2.0. And my name is Cruz. My co-host, Ian Barry, is still on assignment. But the good news, folks, is Ian will be back next week. Yay!
Yay!
All right. So I'm missing my buddy, so I'm really glad to have him back next week. In the meantime, I have asked a couple of other friends, and Houston radio personalities of note, to join me for the Light Beer Taste Test 2.0. Returning from Light Beer Blind Taste Test the first,
Yes.
is the one and only Maria Todd. Maria, how are you?
I am fine and happy I didn't get washed away on the first test. So, yes, I am back for this one this year.
Now, you mentioned that you had been eating crow for a year because you picked because you picked Miller Lite as your number one.
And I scored it higher than Bud Light. And I swear to God, whenever I go anywhere, I order Bud Light. Bud Light.
That's been your light beer,
That has
right?
been, yes, my go-to. So me scoring Miller Lite higher was just blew me away. It's like all this time I thought I didn't like it. And then my brother's laughing at me because that's always been his go-to. So he's just like, ha, 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 I told you it tastes better.
Well, also joining us today, another Houston radio personality of note, formerly with, half a dozen, well, you didn't work for half a dozen. You worked for Z107. You worked
Z107.
You worked for The Buzz.
Then we turned into The Buzz.
And then you were at...
we launched 1037.
1037, yes.
Houston's AAA, which was a lot of fun.
Mr. Steve Robison.
Hello.
Program director and radio personality. So one of the reasons I wanted both of you guys to be here for this show, it's a known fact that Ian and I, we own up to this. We're beer snobs, right?
Yes, you are.
We are. We are beer snobs. And so I thought that when we're doing the Light Beer Blind Taste Test, it would be important to get some people on here who are not beer snobs, who drink light beer on a semi-regular basis, or at least, that would be likely to be one of your beers of choice on a normal thing. And I think that's important to see how that perspective, as we do the tasting, differs a little bit, or doesn't, from a beer snobs tasting. So so last time we had two beer snobs and Maria, and this time we have one beer snob and the two of you. So
I'll be happy to give you the Pope folks recommendation.
Well, we will look forward to that. There's a lot going on. By the way, our program is brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant. They're at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth. Once Ian returns, we will be planning our road trip date to go and do a live show from the brand new, newly open Fort Worth location.
Ooh,
so
nice.
We're looking forward to that. Also want to thank Trey Boring, who was our special guest last week. He is nothing like his name. He was a very interesting man. He is with Cigar Rights of America. He was on last week, gave us a lot of really pertinent and interesting information about the legal fights in Washington, D.C. that are going on right now over regulating cigars and what it means and how you can get involved and help. And we encourage you to Google Cigar Rights of America and go back and listen to last week's show if you missed it, because if you are a cigar smoker or a pipe smoker, your rights are being adjusted, and you need to have a say in that.
Wow.
So that's a very important thing. Now, if Ian were on the show, as he will be again back next week, he would ask me about now if I'd smoked anything interesting in the last week.
And so, Cruz, have you smoked anything
Thank you,
interesting?
Maria. I appreciate you stepping up there. That's, I have to admit, you didn't say it with quite the same grin on your face that
you
Ian
want a little
does.
more gusto?
Yeah, a little more gusto.
Have you smoked anything interesting this week?
See, that's pretty good.
Steve's
That's pretty
got
good. That's pretty good. If you grow a beard, you could pass for him, I think. I did actually smoke an interesting cigar this week. I smoked the Gilberto Oliva Reserve Blanc Churchill. Now, Oliva is, I think, one of the most respected cigar companies out there, one of the most respected cigar brands. We've had their representative on before when we did a live show from down in League City, and this is their latest release. They don't release a whole lot of cigars, but this is their latest one. They released it just this last year, and it features an Indonesian Sumatra wrapper, an Ecuadorian binder, and filler from Nicaragua. The pre-light on this, that first, just smelling the tobacco, very rich, a little bit spicy. What I loved so much about this cigar, and I'm going to give this, I'll just give this away now, I'm going to give this a very high rating. Construction on this thing was superb. I smoke so many cigars that are really, really good, but they don't smoke arrow straight. You have to touch them up a little bit as they go, and one side burns and canoes a little bit faster than the other one. This one just smoked absolutely perfectly. It was almost like when you see an ad in a cigar magazine for a cigar, and it's, the ash part is just perfectly round.
Right.
That's how this one smoked. It was wonderful. Sumatra wrappers are usually a little bit mellow, but this one was not at all. It was medium or medium full from the first puff, very earthy aromas, hints of leather flavor and spice, beautifully complex, kind of toasty, and a very reasonable cigar at about $6 to $7, depending on where you get it. So we do a thing, guys, that Ian and I do, we call price to quality. And what that means is, like, based on what you paid for it, how does this rank? And so a perfect score, meaning you get exactly what you paid for, would be a 5.
Okay.
And then so it's a 1 to 10 scale. So I'm going to give this one a 7, which means was substantially better than what I paid for.
Wow.
This would easily have been a 5 had it been maybe a $10 or $11 cigar, but it wasn't. It was a $6-7 cigar. So got to give it a high ranking. So price to quality is a 7.
Well, I think you need to give the name out again too.
Yes, absolutely, and it's a little bit confusing name. It's so Oliva is the cigar company, but they've named this new line Gilberto Oliva, which is one of the members of the Oliva family that this is named after, and it's the Gilberto Oliva Reserve Blanc, and this one was a Churchill size. So
I'm going to write that down.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have got your pens and paper, because we're going to be doing this this little blind taste test, and the way this thing is going to work is that in the next few segments we'll be doing samples of 4 beers per segment. Now Adam, who's on the wheels of steel here, will be pouring the beers for us and not telling us what we're tasting. So he's going to mix them up in whatever order he wants to. Right.
So this is going to be a really blind taste test.
Total blind, and this is the way we did the last one. So
Yeah.
so they'll be handed over. We'll sip a little bit of each one. We'll talk about what it tastes like, what the flavors are, and what have you. And 4 per segment. And then by the time the segment ends, we want to rank which of those 4 were our favorite, and 2, 3, and 4 of those 4. Then and only then will he tell us the name of what each beer was.
Basically, then and only then will he crush our souls.
That's right. You're just afraid you're going to really like Natty Light or something.
I am. I know it's going to be. Well, you know what? Like I said, the Pope folks' perspective.
Yeah, well,
this tastes familiar.
Actually, we don't have Natty Light today. One of the reasons we decided to do this again and do 2.0 was because after we did the first one, we started getting a lot of email and different notes on the Facebook page and what have you from people saying, "Hey, why didn't you test this one? What about this light beer? What about that one?" So we realized there were a whole lot more. So I've actually been going as I've been. In a few spots around the country this year. I've picked up some that I don't think you could get here locally.
I was just about to say to you,
with me, so.
Some of these are probably regional, because I know there were certain beers that I grew up with that they kind of sold right around.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm from Buffalo, New York originally. Great place to be from. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Great place to not be right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they did sell quite a few beers that were you could just get right around that area.
And that's gotten to be an even bigger thing with the craft beer explosion, too, because so many of the smaller breweries and even microbreweries, so many of them are opening now just almost as a tap room, and here's our beers. And if they get good enough response, then maybe they'll try to get in some local stores. That's kind of the latest trend in craft brewing. So it's gotten to be a very regional thing. So I have a few that I was able to bring back and mix in here that are regional, and so that should be interesting. But mostly there were just a lot of different light. But we did a dozen light beers last time.
I remember,
and
so does my liver.
So we'll have a dozen. We'll have a dozen this time. And as I believe I mentioned, I brought back, and maybe I mentioned this before the show, I don't know, but we brought back Bud Light and Miller Light as that'll be the control element, because those were both in the first one. So we put both of them back into there. Only you won't know, obviously, when you're getting to them and when you're drinking them, but that's the way that it'll work. We also will do a little tequila tasting. I hope I can talk you guys into doing just a little taste of tequila here.
Okay.
Because I brought the Paul Zaveda, the Pepe Zaveda Z Añejo Tequila, which is out of Austin. Now, they're based in Austin. It's obviously made in Jalisco in Mexico. But this is an Austin-based tequila company. And I don't know, this just looked delicious. So we'll sample a little bit of that.
Bottle, yes.
I don't know. Steve, will you do a little tequila?
Let's see how the beer goes first. Get a couple beers to me. You never know what's going to happen.
We're calling Ubers. Forget it.
Well, that's a very important thing to do. Actually, it's very important. By the way, just wanted to recognize there's a new FDA suit over cigars. There's so much going on, and we had Trey Boring on the show last week who gave us an update. Since Trey was here, a complaint was filed actually last Friday by a retailer in Dallas called En Fuego Tobacco Shop, and our friend Manny at El Cubano Cigars in League City, where we've done the show live.
Right.
We've had Manny on, and he's talked tobacco with us. And the Texas Cigar Merchants Association, they have filed suit against the FDA. And again, it's all over this same legislation, but their suit is specifically about the packaging regulation, because if this legislation becomes law, every cigar, every premium cigar, you would have to have a sticker on it that is at least 1/3 the size of the cigar. That is the warning, the health warning sticker.
Wait, it would be on each cigar, not on the cigar package,
not
but on
the
each
box.
individual cigar.
Yeah, not on the box, but on the packaging for the cigar. So one of the first things is there's a number of cigars that don't even come in cellophane wrapper. They come just unwrapped inside the box. So where are you going to put a warning label on that? You can't stick it to the tobacco. So anyway, these guys are involved in another suit, so we wish them well, and we'll keep you posted on how that thing is going. All right, it's Smoking and Toasting. It's craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. When we return in segment number 2, Light Beer Blind Taste Test 2.0 will begin.
All right.
Hope you guys are ready.
Yes.
All right.
Is it too late for me to say, Mommy?
So, Adam, the way that we did this last time is during each of the breaks, go ahead and pour the 3 samples of the 4 beers and kind of have them sitting there. That way there's no slowdown during. Whenever we're ready, you can hand us the next one. So, Facebook.
I don't know if mine connected or not.
Can we say hi to the people that are actually on?
Oh, absolutely, because Facebook Live rolls even during the break. So if you say, anything bad about Steve's mama,
everybody's going to hear it?
Everybody will hear it during the breaks, right? So, all right. You guys are great. Thank you.
I don't know Brian Blaze, but I love the fact that he told you to grab the bottle and just tip it up. Steve.
Brian Blades, what up, brother?
Grab that bottle in front of you and tip it up. That's what it says.
See, yours must be working because Brian Blades came. Well, he's my friend on Facebook, too.
Hey, Brianna, the person I want to be when I grow up. Thanks so much for listening today. I want to say hi to my friend Kevin Charles. And then also, thank you, Kresha, for tuning in. I want to say it now. I can still get it out without slurring.
Brianna's awesome. I guarantee you she's eyeing this tequila right now going, wonder if he's going to take that back home with him.
I'll make sure they save you some, Brianna. I'll make sure he has some to take home.
She's my tequila drinking friend.
See, everybody needs one of those.
Yes, indeed.
Especially when you have good tequila that you want to sip on.
All right, so go ahead and get the first batch ready, and then when you're ready, we'll go. And he's going to try to keep that clandestine. So
I'm going to turn my back just so I won't accidentally see something.
Texted me, said, I'm watching you guys. We're watching you.
You didn't know we have a camera in your house.
Oh, super fun. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, now you will need to know which one you're giving us, though. Okay.
I'm going to write it down.
Okay.
Oh, and while since we can sit here and actually talk to people anyway, FYI, for B&B Butchers, they also just purchased Carmelo's Italian restaurant.
So they're going to
which is right by me. Yeah, and
they're going to redo that as an Italian place. Oh, is it already reopened?
It's already reopened.
That's great. I knew they were working on it, but I didn't know
they've got that going in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, B&B, I mean, that's a great
They're
place
incredible.
to have a steak. And if you haven't had the bacon, oh my God, the bacon is like that. It's an appetizer. First of all, it's like that thick, and it's got this amazing cheese and truffle oil on it. You've just never had anything that delicious in your life. It's amazing. And you
now, is it like a restaurant or is it strictly a butcher?
It's a restaurant. You can buy steaks and take them home, but it's a full-fledged steakhouse, and they've got a nice outdoor upstairs area where we've done the
Great
show
happy
a number of
hour.
times where you can smoke outside and stuff.
I'm going to disperse.
All right, so this is
I
all
think they
one.
do
This is all
deli
number
sandwiches
one.
and stuff, too.
What- all right.
Eons ago, we did.
Here's number one. Don't drink it yet.
We did the hamburger challenge, like find Houston's best hamburger. It was a morning show bit. I'm sure y'all did the same thing at some
And you can
point.
just line them up here.
There was a butcher shop
like the 2,
that
3, and 4.
was truly just a butcher shop, but they sold hamburgers.
You have the opener, right?
They didn't publicize
You got an opener?
it, but
No, but
It was just something they did.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, there
because
should be.
it was like in
I'll just have the opener just
an
in
industrial
case.
park, so there's like a construction guys would swing by, and they made like 50 patties a day, and if you got one, you got one.
And you knew it sold out. I love
Yeah,
those places.
But it was it was amazing how good they were. We went there. There was nowhere to sit. You had to like pull up a chair and just sit there and eat.
Just
but
in
they
case
did
you
a
need
full,
it.
lettuce, tomato, all that stuff. But it was unbelievable. But
Where is this you're talking about?
it was a butcher shop, and I can't remember what it was called. But I was telling Maria that they sold hamburgers, but they didn't publicize it. You just had to know, and they made like 50 a day. And when they were gone, they were gone.
Well, B&B, they have what they call the Wagyu beef, which I guess it's the same as okay, that's number 2. It's the same as Kobe beef, but apparently it can only be called Kobe beef if it comes from this one place. But it's the same process,
Right.
I guess, which is they massage the cows and feed them sake or something. Seriously, I think that's
Yeah,
what
they do.
They wear
Yeah.
little geisha outfits. the
Yeah,
cows.
that's exactly. Jim Gaffigan, the comedian, he goes. He has this whole bit about the. Why were you massaging an animal that you gave alcohol to?
That paints a picture.
Yes, it does. All right, so this is our first one. I got the second one.
Okay.
So we have to, segments 12 minutes. We'll find the pace, but I'll either slow us down or speed us up.
It's hard to grade beer like this. Can I just say that?
Yes, it is. Okay, that's number 3. Okay.
You want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, we can go ahead and then you can have number 4 ready to go. All right, here we go, kids.
Okay.
So remember, we're grading these without knowing what they are, and then Adam will tell us what each was
segment
when we were doing. So segment 2, yes.
And I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep. All right.
Ready?
Yes, we are. Welcome back, my friends. It's Smoking and Toasting. It's show number 72. The Light Beer Blind Taste Test 2.0. And we're just about to kick that bad boy off. We do want to let you know that Ian is on assignment. He's been gone for several weeks, but he will be back next week. So I'm very excited about my buddy coming home. So,
And I'm sure he'll have plenty
yes.
of stories when he gets back.
I am sure he will. Ian always has stories.
yeah.
That's
It's
one
whether
thing-
or not he can tell them on this podcast or
Yeah,
not.
that's one thing I can always count on.
Even if they're made up, they're still good stories.
So I was talking to him last week. I go, buddy, we're going to do the light beer blind taste test without you. And he's like, got a little choked up over it, actually. So
He was really good at this last
he
year.
really was. He really was. But again, he and I are the beer snobs. So, and if you just joined us, we have I'm the local beer snob, but I brought 2 non-beer snobs on. And let me just ask you before we start. What light beer would you be most likely to drink? You've said for you it would be Bud Light, right,
Yes.
Maria? And what about you, Steve?
Coors Light.
Coors Light would be your choice. Okay, good. So there we go. This is perfect. So we have a couple of people who are not beer snobs at all. Now we'll be doing the tasting, and we'll see how we go. And we're ready for beer number 1. So
Okay.
it's already good. Now, let me explain how we're doing this for those who are listening but not watching. Adam, who is our producer of the show, Adam Andrews, has been pouring these down under the counter so we can't see. So we can't
That's so
see what he's
professional,
pouring.
too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He pours the little samples down under the counter. We're going to taste 4 of these per segment in the next 3 segments. And we don't know what these are, but after we comment on them and then put the 4 from each segment kind of in order of how we liked them, then he will reveal what each one was. So this is our first blind taste test beer.
Okay.
Take a sniff and take a sip.
It's a lovely bouquet.
It is. It is a lovely bouquet. And, it's funny also doing this in the winter when you think about heavier beers. These light beers I think of more for the summer. But Maria must like this one. She just downed the whole cup.
It was cold.
Yes, that's hopefully
Cold
this
and free. It's beautiful.
That's
hopefully
right.
hopefully these will all be cold. Okay, now I find that kind of interesting. It does have... One of the things we talked about last time is that some of the beers just didn't have that much flavor. This one does have a nice little flavor
Yeah.
on the aftertaste that's maybe a little lemony. I know we said lemon pledge last time for
We need more lemon
for
pledge.
Bud Light Lime. This doesn't necessarily. It's not quite that strong or medicine-y tasting, but there is a little bit of a. Do you?
There's a
detect-
brightness.
Is it lemon? Is that what I'm getting in there? What do you think, Maria?
I don't know if it's lemon, but
It's
there's
just very
definitely-
distinctive. I
Yes,
mean,
there's a very distinct. I don't want to say aftertaste because aftertaste has negative connotations,
Right,
but I
but-
want to say it
but the
finishes
finish, yes,
with
yes.
a very like a brightness. That's
A
like
bright-
say, which makes you think citrus all the time.
I thought it was pretty refreshing.
Yeah.
I would say
I
that.
would drink this again. I probably drink it all the time and just don't know it. Probably some beer that I order all the time, just
All
don't
right.
know.
So that's light beer number 1. Now, light beer number 2 is
Little
actually
darker.
a darker color. This looks more amber-ish, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
more like an amber ale. And I'm not getting much on the nose before the tasting. Maybe I know. Last time I did this, I actually inhaled some beer, and that didn't work out so well. But let's see on the tasting. This is beer number 2. We both had the same reaction. Maria, you're kind of making a face actually at this one.
I know. I'm almost making bitter beer face. I don't know. I like the first one better, and I admit that in a light beer, I liked it to be light. Like I want it to be refreshing. I don't want it to weigh me down, I guess.
I actually kind of like this. It's got,
but this is up your alley, though.
Right?
I know the beers you like.
It takes me a moment or two to kind of like adjust to this flavor, especially after drinking one that was so sort of crisp and light before. But this one gives me a little more flavor, so I'm going to say I like that one quite a bit.
Again, I'm kind of a weenie when it comes to beers. I like light beers, so this is a little heavy for me.
It's a little heavy for a light beer for you. Okay, good. This is all proceeding exactly as it should, I think.
And I hate to be sexist here, but I kind of feel like that was more like more men would like that beer than women would like it.
So you think it's more of a man's beer?
It's more of a man beer.
Well, in that case, I like it a lot. It's a manly beer.
Of course. So Steve just moved this one to number 1. All right, that was beer number 2. This is beer number 3. This is back now to a lighter color. This can actually be a little confusing, this light beer taste test challenge. Now, this I will say is pretty refreshing.
Yeah.
But I'm getting maybe it's because it just came after that other one, but I'm getting just like less flavor maybe. It's more...
Definitely no aftertaste. It's kind of just...
It finishes pretty crisp,
Yeah. It's almost flat.
That's interesting. It is not as fizzy as the other two were, is it?
So again, I'm giving you the Pope folks' perspective. I don't know all the terms. All I can tell you is... it's not
like
that.
it or not. Is what
All right. And so here comes beer number 4 for this segment.
Okay.
And again, we'll do 4 beers per segment. Then we'll talk about each one as we taste, and then we'll rank them individually, and then we'll find out what they are. So this one is also fairly light in color, kind of a straw color. Not getting a lot on the nose, but definitely a different taste. Wow, that's different than the last one. Almost a little sour compared to the others. Do you detect that at all?
It tastes like there's a lot of booze in this. I'm serious. Like it's almost like a mixed drink.
It does taste
Okay,
like...
so whatever this is, it's a cocktail of beers, according to Steve.
That's what.
I'll give it credit for having flavor. There's definitely something there. So it's not just a watery light beer, but I'm not sure how much I like the flavor. I'm gonna
Lots of it, but not a good thing. Okay.
All right, so I am going to now rank the beers in order of how much I liked them, and that was pretty easy for me to decide on that round. And then once we reveal which ones we like the most and the least, then Adam will reveal to us what these are. So Steve, I see you're done.
Yes.
All right. What was which of the 4 did you rank highest?
My favorite actually was the third one.
The third one. Interesting. Yes. Okay, so you ranked that number 1, and
then I went with number 1.
So you went 3, 1,
2, 4.
2, 4. How about you, Maria?
Oh my God, Steve and I are very similar, except I thought the first beer I tasted was the one I liked the best.
Yeah.
So 1 was 1, but then my beer number 2 was 3. It was the second one I liked, and then 2 and 4. So it's like Steve and I kind of flipped those.
We need to hang out more.
We should. We can go drink it.
I went with number 2, the one that you guys probably guessed I would like the most. That was the one that I felt like had the most flavor. Number 2 was my first, followed by number 3, then number 1, and then number 4. So did we all put 4 last?
Yes,
I did.
So that's interesting because there's a consensus. We found several things like this in the last taste test. There were wildly different opinions on these things, but there was some stuff that all of us kind of agreed on. So
we all don't like this.
all right, Adam, pull your microphone up there and tell us what was beer number 1. Yeah, just go ahead and pull that up there. What was beer number 1? You got to get your notes now, right?
Beer number 1 was Labatt Blue Light.
Labatt Blue.
Labatt's Blue Light.
Blue.
I grew up drinking Labatt's Blue.
Labatt
That's
Blue
like an
Light.
upstate.
That's a Canadian beer,
Yes,
but
it is.
Buffalo's right on the border between
Right,
Canada
so
and
you get a lot
US.
of it up there, yeah. And you can find this here in Texas. I was able to find that locally. Actually,
I would love a 6-pack of that.
I bought some when I was out, and then came back and found it here. So I was like, "Oh, great! I didn't need to illegally ship that home." What was beer number 2? I rated it number 1. We felt like it was maybe the most
Crafty.
of the
It was the
four.
darkest.
It was Yingling Light.
Yangling Light.
Yingling.
Okay, so for those who are not from the Northeast or from like the New York, Philadelphia area, Yangling is the oldest brewery in the nation. And they are extremely popular. You know, kind of the way that Shiner has been popular here. You kind of like the hip college beer. Only they've been around forever. And Yangling Light is their lighter beer. And I'm not surprised now that I know that's what that is. Like that one actually makes sense. So Yangling with a nod towards Philly. What up, Philly? Beer number 3, Adam.
Miller Light.
Miller Lite.
Really?
Now
Wow.
that's really interesting because Miller Lite was we have Miller Lite and Bud Light making reappearances in this
Right.
in this from last time, and Miller Lite was, I think everybody picked it number 1 in the grouping that it was
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
I
Even
picked
for
it number
me.
1 here.
So you picked it number 1 here?
But
And I
was-
picked it number 3, so it's like I still.
But what's funny
Still
for
like
me
it.
is Miller Lite, has a distinct taste. At least I can pick up
You-
on it.
you
And
think so?
I guess maybe because we had other drinks beforehand, but I couldn't pick up on it.
Well, that's what's interesting. That happened to all of us last time, I
Yeah.
think, as well. Is like, I did not know when we hit the ones that you like, for example, I would think I would have known Coors Light when
Yeah.
we got to it last time.
Right.
And I didn't know until they said, oh, that was Coors Light. Okay. You just think you know that sort of distinctive taste.
And I'm sorry, let me make a correction here. Actually, Miller Lite was my number 2 beer.
Was your
So it's
number
kind of
2?
like, okay, basically, if I don't have Labatt's, then I'm going to pick Miller Lite. That's what it's coming out to
So
for me.
you liked Labatt's the best out of
Yeah.
this batch. All right, we all picked number 4 as our 4 out of 4. Adam, what are we dealing with beer number 4?
Sapporo Light.
Sapporo
okay.
Light. Very interesting. Okay. Sapporo Light. Now, it's interesting because when I eat sushi, I always have a tendency to buy Japanese beers, and I usually buy the light ones if they're available. And I usually think, and maybe it's just because of the cuisine, but I usually think, oh, I really love these. These beers are so like crisp and delicious. But we had Kirin Light in the last tasting and Sapporo Light and both of them did badly in the tasting when tasted with other beers. It's kind of an interesting thing to watch.
Well, it makes sense because I'm a sake bomb girl, or at least I
Yep,
was
yep,
when I would go to
yep.
a sushi restaurant. So it really didn't make much of a difference what kind of beer it was because we were dropping sake in it anyway. So
All right, now here's what you guys are going to do. I want you to make some mental notes here because at the end of the show, I'm going to ask you to go back through all 3 segments and rate and rank your top 5. So,
wow.
so it
Okay.
might be something that was in this segment. It might not be anything that was in this segment, depending on how much you like things that are in the segments to come. But we are about to take a quick break, and we'll be back with segment number 2. It's Light Beer Blind Taste Test 2.0, Smoking and Toasting number 72, brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant. We'll be right back.
And look at that. We just nailed the post.
Oh yeah. As my friend Dave would say, we'd go to a concert and I go, watch, the next song they play is going to be so and so. Sure enough, he'd look at me and go, it's like you do it for a living. Yeah, they're gonna encore with "You Give Love a Bad Name."
Yeah.
right. Oh,
Shot
haven't
through
I
the
played yet?
heart. You're like, it's like you do it for a living. Yeah. This is fun. I enjoy doing this
can't believe-
tasting.
That Miller Lite, that threw me off completely. Like I said,
Yeah.
because to me, Miller Lite has like a smell to it, and I did not pick it up at all.
And again,
I actually picked Miller Lite number 1, as did you, on our last tasting, right?
I can't believe I must really like this beer, and I just don't want to admit that I do.
Out of all of the beers, it was the one that was legitimately, that was the one I liked the best.
I never buy Miller Lite. Well, I buy it because my brother likes it, so I'll buy it sent to him, and I'll buy it myself. But I keep liking this beer, and I keep not buying it for me.
And
isn't that funny? That's a marketing thing.
The Yingling, I thought that was a Japanese beer. It's not. It's
it's from Philadelphia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was Japanese too.
Interesting. Yeah.
Japanese.
I guess because it said Yingling.
Yingling.
Yeah. Now, see, that's a very
That is
racist
stereotype.
Yeah, that's
Again.
stereotyping.
Well, I call one of the things chick beer, so I guess we're like, yeah, I'll be getting letters
Harvey Weinstein on 1.
from him. I'm not worried.
Yeah.
By the time he finishes his sentence, catch me.
But the way this keeps going, we're not going to have any comedians left.
Well, no, I think what happened the other day
Talking about
with that
Aziz?
woman, I think that kind of put a end to where this stuff goes. Now everything
Maybe.
has to come back from that, or at least I hope so. Because I
like Aziz.
when I was sitting there listening to her story and people talking about it, all I'm thinking to myself is like, dude, you just went on a bad date and had bad sex with somebody. Everybody does that. If
I was going to say,
brought into every man that had bad sex with you, there would be no men left. Because at some point, somebody had bad sex with somebody. And women, too. Because for whatever reason, it just wasn't the way you planned it.
That's going to be your show. Bad Sex with Maria Todd.
Oh, God. Sadly, I could do that show.
Several episodes, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that'd be a series that would last forever.
Hey, your show lasted longer than Friends. Yes, I know. All right. So this is number 1. We've got number 2. Number 3 is coming, and then we'll start. Once he lines number 3 up, we'll start our third segment
By the
here.
way, this is the only time where it's okay to take drinks from under the table.
Yeah.
Right? Please do not try this at home or in a bar when you're out.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want them leaning down to make your drink. You want them reaching
All
up.
right. All right. If you're ready to start us, we'll roll here. Welcome back. Smoking and Toasting Show number 72. We are brought to you by our friends and sponsors, and we do truly love these guys. B&B Butchers and Restaurant at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork and Fort Worth. And you mentioned they just took the management of B&B just took over another kind of a Houston Italian restaurant that's been around for a while.
Yes, Carmelo's Italian Restaurant on
Yes.
Memorial. They have
And
taken
so
that
they've
over.
taken that over, and it's now open under their management.
Yes.
So.
Delicious food still. They still have that wonderful dessert cart.
Oh, love it. All right. Love it. Well, these guys, they certainly know how to do appetizers. So I have to be honest, every time that I've been to B&B, I've not made it to dessert. So
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I've gone, maybe I'll just have a little whiskey. That'll be my dessert.
Well, when the drinks are so good and the food is so good,
man.
you just, I mean.
Well, and their bar selection at B&B is just terrific. In fact, their bar is you can actually use this word, and it isn't like hokey. Their bar selection is curated. It's not just like thrown together. I mean, it's really kind of very carefully handcrafted. So that's our boy Jeremiah, by the way, who takes care of that. And we will have him back on the show here very soon as well. He would love being here doing this light beer taste test today. He would get a huge kick out of this, even though he's something of a beer snob. He'd enjoy this. He'd enjoy this very much. So a very interesting last segment. We all went slightly different areas, but all of us had the same number 4, which was interesting, and all of us scored Miller Lite at least reasonably high, correct?
Yes.
Which is the same way it did
And
last
like
time.
Maria was saying, it's not a beer I would normally buy.
That's
But
interesting.
It came in number 1 on my list.
Well, it's like, I love the taste of it, but I just don't buy it.
All right. Let's start this segment, and we'll do this the same way. So here is beer number 1. And I have to say, by the way, this may be the lightest color
I was gonna
of
say,
any
yeah.
beer. It's a very pale straw yellow, and Oh, I'm getting a little something, maybe a little lemony fragrance on the nose. Are you getting any of that?
I was waiting to see what you were going to say because I almost found it fruity.
Is this a Zima? Did somebody bring a Zima in here?
Do they still make Zima?
I was just about to say, if they still make that stuff, I'm going
It
to
had
shoot
a
whoever that
resurgence.
is.
It had a resurgence.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Technically, it was a beer because it was a malt beverage.
Oh, wait, let me use this word because God knows that no one would bring this back from the 90s, but it was a malternative.
A malternative.
I like
Yes.
that.
Wow.
When you
okay.
didn't want to drink beer, you drank Zima.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Maria Todd. This is why we have her on the show, because nobody else would have brought that
I know
back.
a bunch of stuff about nothing.
Yeah. So what do you think of beer number 1 here for
right.
this segment?
Okay.
It's funny, I'm looking at the video.
Actually, I
memories
like
of
this,
it.
and I almost want to guess what this is because I think I know what this is. I think this is something I actually drank.
Well, actually,
but I'm going to wait.
Don't say it now.
I'm
Let's
not- I'm
you
gonna
guess
wait.
it right before Adam tells us. This to me, now it's interesting. I got the lemony flavor because that definitely comes through. Steve, your thoughts?
Very citrus.
Mm-hmm.
Not a huge fan, but it's kind of refreshing.
I'm almost going lemon floor wax on this one. I'm actually not necessarily. It's kind of like now we had this argument because in the first taste test it was Bud Light Lime, which by the way is not in this grouping.
Really?
this
See,
is
that's
not-
what I thought.
Because that's what I was going to guess it was
so-
Bud Light Lime.
Yeah, so this is not Bud Light Lime. However, in the first taste test that we did when we had Bud Light Lime, I kind of said the same thing. I said kind of like furniture polish.
Right.
That sort of lemony furniture polish. That was Ian's number 1 pick for the whole thing, if you remember.
Yes.
And the thing he kept saying was, at least it had flavor.
Right.
That was like his sort of holy grail on the whole thing, is he wanted something to have flavor. This definitely has more flavor than anything we've tried so far. I'm just not sure how much I like
Yeah.
that
the flavor that they have, yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, so that's number 1. Let's move to number 2 here. And this is another very light-colored beer. So you thought that was Bud Light Lime. Is that what you
I
thought?
did.
I
That's
did,
what I thought.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, so now we move to beer number 2. Almost exactly the same color as the one we just had. Maybe a
Yeah.
little bit clearer. The first one might have been slightly hazier, but... Wow, very interesting. Now I'm going to have to reset my taste buds after the...
That's what I'm doing.
Seriously, because I'm going to have to take a second sip of this because the first one was just almost like a recalibration after the very lemony, limey tasting first beer that we had.
This really tastes like beer.
That's a
Like
good
it's
point.
got a big beer flavor.
It's got a beer flavor to it. You're absolutely right. You know, it's very straightforward. I have to say, I kind of like it.
I do like that too.
I kind of like it. Very straightforward, but not a...
It's got a little heaviness, but not too much to me.
It doesn't have a
Yeah.
lot of flavor, though. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's coming after the
floor wax.
the lemon
Yeah.
floor wax, that I'm feeling that way about it. But very, very interesting. Okay. And that tastes familiar too. Okay, so I did this when we used very small cups for those of you not watching.
Yes.
And the small cups were filled about halfway. So it was about 3 swallows, basically.
Yeah, basically we're taking a shot of beer.
My first swallow, I just had to reset my taste buds.
Yeah.
Second swallow, I was like, okay, I kind of like this. Third swallow, I wasn't as enthusiastic. I don't know if it struck you guys that way at all or not. So that one's a real mixed bag for me.
Part of this, I wonder, because we are taking small amounts of beer, there's some things that you like in a small amount. Would you like them as much if it was 12 ounces of it?
It's a very good thing. And some stuff you might like more if you were actually drinking it because you were thirsty. You know what I mean?
Right.
On a hot summer day.
I know we brought up Zima. It's like if I have a sip or two of Zima, it's like, oh, that's nice. But I wouldn't want to drink like 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And you definitely wouldn't want it warm.
Yeah, and by the way, when you drink that stuff, you have to pee like crazy. I don't know what it is about Zima. I mean, beer is bad enough, right, for sending you to the
I was going to say, you
restroom?
don't buy beer, you rent it.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But Zima's even more so. So, all right. So that's number 1 and 2. Here is beer number 3 for our segment 3 of the show.
Smells kind of musty.
I don't know, musty, but Fascinating. So Steve's not liking this one at all.
No.
I can tell by that sound. I know what that is.
Woo! Maria, your thoughts?
Not a favorite.
I kind of like it.
That's a
It's
cruise
very
beer.
foamy.
That is
like it.
such a cruise
I
beer.
kind of like it.
I've known the man for a long time. That's a cruise beer.
Steve and I have been drinking on more than one
Yeah.
occasion. So,
Apparently, I
All
have
right.
missed these excursions.
yeah. Well, you're now officially invited to everyone.
I don't know that I want to come.
All right. Here is our
Beer number
final beer
4.
for this segment. As we see how these do, these are really fun shows to do. I have to say, and although I do miss Ian, it is wonderful of you guys to be on the show, and thank you. So, all right, not getting much on the aroma on this one. This is beer number 4. Maybe it's just because it feels really cold, but that something about that I like.
I definitely like this one better than 3.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fairly straightforward, but I kind of like it.
I dig it.
Yeah, you dig it. And
Yeah.
you liked it too, Maria.
Yeah.
All right, so there are 4. We'll put them in order now of favorite. And are you already done, Maria?
I'm not drinking all the beer. The ones I like, I'm downing them all, and then the
Sure.
ones that I'm just tasting, I'm trying to pace myself because I know we got tequila to taste too.
That's right. So tell me what
Marathon,
you thought.
not a sprint.
What is your ranking? What was number 1 for you?
Okay. Y'all are gonna hate me. Don't throw cups at me. But number 1
Yeah.
is my number 1. The fruity one.
That was the
I like
one,
that.
the lemony one. Okay,
I
very
like-
good.
I like that
That
one.
was your number 1. What's number 2?
My number 2 is number 4, actually.
The one we just tried.
The one that we just tried. Yeah.
I think we all kind of like that one. Steve,
And then
go
after
ahead,
that is 2 and 3.
2 and 3, the one that both you and Steve didn't like, that'd be your last one.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve?
I went number 4 as my favorite, the one we just had, and then went 2, then number 1, and of course you saw my face. Number 3 was my least favorite.
Yes, the
one.
bitter beer face.
Yeah,
How
that
could
was
we miss
not
it?
good.
Well, I'm probably not going to surprise you guys, but beer number 3
course.
was my number 1 choice. My number 2 was that last one.
Yeah.
Number 4. I liked that.
Hey.
And then number 2 was third for me. And the furniture polish
The one that was my number 1.
that was my number 4. So now this is going to be really interesting. Adam, the one that was Maria's first choice, my last choice, and where did you rank it, Steve?
Which one was that?
Beer number 1.
Citrusy.
It came in 3rd for me.
So Maria picked it number 1, I picked it number 4, Steve picked it number 3. That was
Michelob Ultra Lime.
Michelob
Michelob
Oh,
Ultra.
okay. There was some
Lime.
lime in there. Okay.
Okay. Well, here's something really interesting. Michelob Ultra did way better
I
in
like-
the first taste test
I like
than we expected
Ultra.
it to.
I've never had the lime, though.
My thought was that when it came time to sample Michelob Ultra in that first taste test, that I would know that's what it was because it would be the wateriest of all.
Right.
And actually, we all gave it a reasonably good score. So that's Michelob Ultra Lime. Well, I know what we're having at your house for
Yeah.
for
You
beer
better bring
tonight.
BYO because you're not going to like what I already have.
Beer number 2, I ranked it 3rd. Where did you rank it, Maria?
Beer number 2 was 3rd for
Was
me,
third?
too.
Second for
and
me.
second for Steve, and beer number 2 was
This got me in a lot of trouble in my senior year. It's a Bud Light Platinum.
Bud Light
Light
Platinum.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. Beer number 3. This was my favorite and Maria's least favorite, and Steve, I think, rated it 3rd out of 4, right?
No, 4th.
Oh, 4th out of 4.
Yeah, it was-
So you guys hated it. I loved it. It was
Tecate Light.
Tecate
What?
Light.
I like Tecate Light.
Wow. Interesting.
Not as much as you
Interesting.
think you do, Steve.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Maybe I need some lime in there, but I
And-
normally like it.
And beer number 4, we all kind of liked.
Budweiser Select.
Bud Select. That's a more and more difficult beer to find. Budweiser came out with it. It's a 99 calorie. I think it's fairly low carb, so it is a light beer. but it didn't do that well, and it becomes harder and harder to find Bud Select. So that was my number 2. And wow, very, very interesting.
Here's my
All right.
suggestion to Bud: repackage and rename that.
Right. Call it Bud Light because it's better.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back with our final beer tasting segment, and then in our last segment, we'll put it all together and rank them 1 through 5 for each of our celebrity judges here. You're listening to Smoking and Toasting. I'm not really surprised.
I can't
about Bud
believe
Select.
Tecate Light.
I'm not really surprised about Bud
order
Select,
different
though,
stuff,
because
like,
I used to drink that a lot, actually.
Yeah?
When I could find it for a light beer, because I liked it. I thought it had more flavor than a lot of the other
It was
lights,
my number
so
1. And that's
It was your number 1? I
Yeah.
had number 2. What did you have it? The fourth beer?
What did I have as a fourth beer?
No, what?
You had a number
your
2.
Number 4, you
Oh,
had-
actually,
Yeah, my number 2 was Bud Select, and my number 4 was Tecate
So
Light.
Bud Select was your number 1 and both of our number 2 out of that segment. That's a pretty good thing. I don't know why it didn't do better.
I
Why
said
did
they
you
need to
do it?
repackage and rename it. The name Bud Select is just
Yeah,
not.
you can buy it for like $5.49 a 6-pack. It's like super cheap because it doesn't sell that well.
I'll tell you
But you
what-
have to be able to find it.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't recall seeing it anywhere.
I don't either.
Now is
I've
Bud
never seen anybody's cookout or backyard party or any of that stuff.
Which
is where
which
you
one
see
got you
beer.
in trouble, Adam? Bud Light Platinum?
in Platinum that's almost like a malt liquor. Isn't
Yes,
it?
it almost is.
It was like a higher percentage.
Yeah.
That's what everyone got.
You know, so here's what's interesting. Bud Light is Anheuser-Busch's number 1 selling product.
Right.
It sells more than regular Budweiser. It's their number 1 selling product. But they actually have more light beers other than Bud Light in their portfolio than any other brewing company. They have Michelob Ultra, and then they have plus all the Bud Light Lime and all the variations of Bud Light. They have Bud Select, and they have Bud Platinum. And they have Busch Light, which we sampled
Right.
last time. So they've got more light beers. Like if you go over on the Miller side, they don't have that many light beers.
Yeah.
They got Miller Light. and
Which
that's
is
kinda
funny
it.
because they were the first one to come out with a light beer.
Yeah,
With the LIT, with the special spelling.
Yeah, Miller
and all
Lite was
that.
the original light beer,
And Coors has Keystone.
right? Which
Keystone
is
Light.
Keystone Light, which is just Coors in another can.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And honestly, I don't mind Keystone.
We actually had Keystone in our last
it's
taste test.
the
Yeah.
poor man's Coors Light.
Oh,
Yeah.
believe me, I know.
and I'm
I've been
poor,
just-
so I know these things.
Man,
we
when I-
used to call it Coors
when I
Light as
lived
we
in
were
LA,
drinking
that was-
Union Bustin' Swill.
When I was in LA, it was all Keystone Light all the time.
Absolutely.
We used to drink Canadian. You either drank Labatt's or Molson if you had money, because then you were cool because you could buy Canadian beer.
Right.
Otherwise, it was like Bud Light or Miller Light. And then if you were really poor, it was you brought Natty Light to the party, but then you drank everybody else's
Sure.
damn Michelob. Or you had, what was that other stuff we got from? We get Rolling Rock all the time. too.
Oh, okay.
Rolling Rock is a beer
Chateau
that
Latrobe.
used to be good, and it just is. I find it really disappointing.
And then they came out with the light version, which is like, God, I don't even like your regular version.
Right.
Why would you come out with a light?
Why do you need a lighter version? That's like if they came out with Michelob Ultra Light.
Right? It's like when they came out with those designer imposters. So if you love poison, you'll love. No, I won't. No, I won't.
That's great. All right, this is segment number 4.
All right, let me
Okay, oops.
get ready. Yeah.
So we got 1 and 2 already poured. Are we good to
Yep.
start? Okay.
All right. I love the comments on here.
Yeah.
Go get some Red Dog.
Red
Dog.
Dog.
Yeah, tell me where I
Oh,
can
I
find it,
remember
Chris
No,
Reed.
a friend of mine, his dad, that's what he drank. He drank Red Dog and Schaefer Light. Schaefer Light is awful.
Schaefer Light is awful, and I will.
Because it's
I
made
remember-
from corn.
And that Red Dog reminded me. Actually, there was another light in the Bud portfolio, Bud Light Ice.
That's right.
Remember that?
Or
Bud
it's just called
Ice.
Bud Ice.
Bud
Ice.
Yeah.
That has a lot of booze in it.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't
and
realize that.
does anybody remember the dry beers when they came out with the dry versions of beer? They were supposed to
I
have
don't know if I
no
remember that.
aftertaste. I remember Bud had a Bud Dry. There was a
Bud
Labatt's Dry.
Yes,
And
I do
there's-
remember Bud Dry.
Yeah.
Bud Dry, but you said Bud Ice. There's also Ice House.
Yes.
Right.
Which
Ice
is
House,
good,
yes.
but it has a lot of booze in it.
A lot of booze. That's interesting. Yeah, those were like
Hey,
really hip.
We
for a
radio
while, and then
folks.
they-
We need to know what we got to go.
That's
for.
right. We need to know when we
go
don't
for
need to get
quantity.
that drunk
Yes.
We know
or
where the-
really drunk.
We know where the
and
booze
quick.
is. Yes, we know where the booze is. All right. Ready when you are, sir?
Oh, God. Thank God this is the last segment of beer tasting. I'm starting to not be able to feel my feet.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our fourth segment of Smoking and Toasting. Maria was just mentioning, thank God this is the last segment of beer tasting. Well, that's all well and good until you realize that in the final segment, after the beer tasting is done, we will be tasting the tequila. So,
you know, you might as well just call that some block and fall. I'm just going to get up, walk a block, and fall. That's all that's going to happen.
So, very interesting segment last time. The beers were a bit polarized, but it's worth pointing out that Bud Select, which is not a very popular light beer. In fact, it's actually a little hard to find. Budweiser released it with much fanfare. It's 99 calories beer. It's been out for maybe 10 years, 12 years. But Bud Select was one of us ranked at number one. The other two ranked. Steve ranked at number one. Maria and I both ranked at number two.
Yeah.
I've never had it. I've never bought it, but that's going to be on my list.
And like you, I've never had it, never bought it, never went to somebody's house where they were serving it.
Yeah, it's just not that popular a beer, but it's, you know, it did. That's kind of what Miller Lite did last time. Remember, it did reasonably well on everybody's list, and then I think it got number one. So, all right, so
next beer.
We're on to the next beer. Can you believe it? I love this. This is like being at a really good party with not as good a beer as usual. But here we are. This is our next segment. We will have our final four beers now. So this is beer number one for segment number 4. And have you already tasted, Steve?
Okay.
Oh, this tastes familiar. I think I know this taste.
I think I've had this before too.
Mm-hmm.
But do you like it? That's the question.
I'm not crazy about it. I will say it's nice and cold, and that helps it a lot. But that I find to be true with most lighter beers. Like, the colder they are. Like, if you're drinking something, nobody really likes Natty Light, right?
No.
But if somebody serves it to you, if it's ice cold, you can kind of down it. You know
that's
what I mean?
because you don't know it's Natty Light.
Well, that's the way it can be on the taste test. What do you think, Maria, of beer number 1?
I don't know. This is a hard one for me because it looks fine to me. It smells great, but when I taste it, I don't know. It's like it disappears on me.
A little disappointing in the taste category. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just not. It doesn't taste like I thought it would. I guess is what
to me. It's fabulously mediocre.
Fabulous.
It's just kind of like,
wildly average.
Yes.
It's the meh of beers.
Right, yeah. We all thought it was it's the meh of beers. That's good. That could be a shirt. I like that. I like that very much. All right, now we're on to beer number 2. Now this one's got a little aroma to the nose.
I think it's lighter than anything we've had too. It's very light.
Yeah, but it's got a little sharp
bite
taste.
to it.
Yeah, a little bite to it. Yes. Interesting. I'm trying to imagine, like, if I had a 12 ounce of this, is this something I would enjoy putting the whole thing down? You know, or would I go?
I think I need a burger to find out.
We should totally have done this episode with food trucks. That would have been the thing to do.
I kind of like this. You?
I would drink this.
This is one of the most interesting, and when I say interesting, I mean kind of like in a curious sort of way. Like, I'm really curious what this one is. Interesting. Okay, so that was beer number 2, and again, helped by the cold. I'm not sure if I'd like or dislike that finish. I think I like it.
I think it's the temperature. I think if we had that beer and it sat out for a little while and then you had to take a sip of it, you wouldn't like it as much.
Boy, I would really love an IPA about now. I just want to tell you that.
But to clear your palate of all this stuff.
Yes. All right, here we go. Beer number 3. It does have a little bit of an aroma. The last 2 have had a detectable aroma. Yeah.
This reeks of cruise beer. I could.
Fascinating. What is this? I am very curious about this beer. Adam who's the only one
He's
who knows what
laughing
these
over
are.
there.
He's laughing over there, so this must be good. All right, very interesting. Steve, your thoughts?
No, thank you.
No, and Maria?
A little skunky for my taste.
I'm like, I need the tequila now to clear my palate.
Do you guys have any left? Do you want to pour it back in mine?
You can have mine.
I loved it. I thought
here,
it was.
be my guest.
I'm actually joking, but but no, I found that had some flavor to it. If Ian were
It
here,
definitely
he would
had
say
flavor.
It has flavor. Wow, I'm going to be real curious to see what that is.
It had a very big bouquet. It's like you
And I have a
smell.
feeling. So I have a feeling that this will be much like the Tecate Light was in the last segment. It'll be my number one, and you guys.
I can't get over that.
number four.
Tecate Light. I would not even think that that's how it
Yeah?
tasted. I
Oh, I
never
know.
get that, but I wouldn't think
I
that's
recently
the way it
had
tasted.
a Tecate Light, and granted, I had some lime in it, but it did not taste like that at all.
That's very interesting, and you're right. I would not have picked it as Tecate Light.
No.
All right. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our final beer.
Okay.
This is beer number 4 of segment number 4, and I don't get anything on the nose, and I don't get anything on the drink either. That's just me. This one is a refreshing beverage, but I'm not picking up a lot of flavor. Your thoughts?
I would tend to agree.
Steve?
It's like if you're out playing golf, you'd want a couple of these, but you're right, though. There's not a lot of...
This is like beer for people that love drinking water.
So this is what I would have in our last light beer blind taste test when we had Michelob Ultra. That's what I would have guessed would have been Michelob
Yes.
Ultra, right? It's just not as full flavored. Michelob Ultra actually did fairly well in that last
Yeah.
tasting.
Well, it
that
had
we
a
did,
taste.
so-
This is like, I don't know.
Wow.
It has no kind of beer taste to me.
All right, so guys, we're gonna have to rank these now. Wow.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the first one. What was it? What was the first one like?
It was fabulously
Fabulous.
mediocre.
That's right. That's right. Okay, you're right. You're totally right. Okay, I think I've got my rankings. Let's start with you, Maria.
Okay.
Out of those four,
Out of those
what
four,
did you like the best?
Beer number 2 was my favorite. That's my
Your
number
favorite?
1.
Okay, and
then after that is like beer 1, 3, and 4, just in that order. But I didn't really like any of those beers.
and 4. Interesting, Steve.
I also went with number 2 as my 1st, and then I went 4, 1, 3.
4, 1, 3. All right.
Exactly the opposite of me.
And I was the opposite of everybody because I went with beer number 3 as my number 1. But then, interestingly enough, my number 2 was beer number 2, which I think you both picked as either
was
one
my
or
favorite,
Ones,
yeah.
both of you had number 1 or number 2. So 2 number 1s and a 2. That's a pretty big thing. So I went with that. Number 2 is my second. Number 4 was my third, and number 1 was my fourth. So that was the one that was wildly average. It wasn't a bad beer, just didn't do too much for me. So let's start with the name of that one. Adam Andrus, the producer of the show and pourer of the beers today. What was number 1?
Lone Star Light.
Lone Star Light. Now
Lone
that's
Star.
interesting because I've been known to down a few Lone Star Lights.
Yes.
So it's interesting that
Especially
was my
when
number
it's
4.
just very cold. Tooth cracking cold.
Tooth cracking
cracking cold.
I like it. That works for me. Beer number 2 was one of the higher scoring beers so
Yes.
far on this journey because I picked it as number 2. Both Steve and Maria picked it as number 1, and that beer was
X Light.
X Light,
What
which
is
is
that?
X-Light.
X Light is from Amstel Light, but it's not an Amstel Light. Bring out the bottle and let's take a look at it. I've seen
X-Light.
billboards for this, and I actually finally found it to buy it. I'd never tasted it before today, but I'm showing that to the camera. If you,
Gosh.
that's very interesting because you can see it's from the Amstel.
Yeah, it says
company.
Amstel beer.
Wow.
And I didn't know that Amstel needed another light beer because Amstel Light's pretty popular. Although Amstel Light is a much more full flavored sort of light beer, but this is
So maybe they wanted a lighter light.
Never had it, but
Yeah.
I will be buying some on the way home.
X
That is
Light.
good.
I got the commercial. X
How
marks
about-
the spot.
There you go.
There you go.
They haven't done much to advertise this, but I have seen a billboard. Actually, there used to be a billboard on 45 coming back towards downtown from the airport for X Light beer, and I remember thinking, I've never seen that anywhere, and I finally found some actually at Specs and was able to pick it up for the show today. So
Wow.
fascinating. That actually is. We all kind of like that. So beer number 3 was my number 1 pick. Both of you guys picked it, I believe, as number 4. Or no, you said number 3, right?
No, I said number 4.
Number 4, and you,
It
Maria?
was number 3 for me.
So 1, 3, and 4, and that was the fuller flavored beer, I guess. Adam, what are we dealing with?
It's from Omissions Brewing Company called
Oh,
Ultimate Light.
yes. Okay, so let's see the bottle on this one because I want to talk about this one for a minute. I didn't mention this, but this is the only beer we've had on the show, actually, I think, since the show started, that, to my knowledge, is gluten-free. It is.
I guess that's why I hated it.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
I need my
probably-
gluten.
Yeah, you need extra gluten, Steve. No, this was the Omission Brewing Company. That's hence the name, Omission.
Yes.
They are a gluten-free beer company. That's kind of
Wow.
their thing. They brew beers for people who are supposed to be taking gluten out of their diet. So they have several different kinds of beer, but this one is their Ultimate Light Golden Ale, and it's their lower calorie ale. So there you go, the Omission Brewing Company Ultimate Light. That was my number 1. Number 3 for Maria, and number 4 for Steve. He really missed the gluten. Finally, beer number 4. I think I ranked it 3rd. What did you rank it, Steve?
2.
2, and Maria?
I ranked it 4.
You ranked it 4. Okay, so a 2, 3, and a 4. Beer number 4 was
Bud Light.
Bud
I
Light.
knew it. I
Maria?
knew it.
Maria, this is so interesting because your
I always order the Bud Light.
You've dissed it now in 2
And you
blind
ranked
taste
it
tests.
last?
Yep.
Wow.
Who drink water.
Yeah,
I did. I said it was beer for people that drink water.
Well, that's really interesting because we sort of felt like that this was a Michelob Ultra sort of taste to this beer. So, okay, fascinating. We're going to regroup. We will each put our top 5 together out of everything that we've tasted, and then we will do a little tequila tasting coming up in our final segment. You are listening to Smokin' and Toastin', show number 72, brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant.
I can't believe I have dissed Bud
You
Light
have dissed
2
Bud
times,
Light
2 years in a row. I might as well stop drinking that because obviously I don't really like it.
No, what's funny is that I didn't say anything, but I just Bud Light has a smell like Miller Lite. At least I
So
thought.
you kind of knew that
I
was Bud
knew
Light?
that was Bud Light. At least I thought it was.
I'm like, I can't
Interesting.
believe it. I like everything else but Bud Light.
Can I pass on drinking tequila? Okay.
Certainly can.
Yeah.
But that means, Maria, you got to.
Yes.
I'm definitely
No,
drinking
y'all
tequila.
go for it.
And I'm going home
I
and going to
can't-
bed.
Steve has to work for the rest of the day.
And
Like,
also,
screw it.
I got drunk on tequila once, and I went. Oh, the smell of it! Even if it's fine, high quality. Oh, can't
Oh,
do
don't worry. After a few years, you can actually go back to it. It's funny. I ran into a friend over the weekend, and
You need a couple of cups. You want some tequila?
I'm okay, thank you.
they bought she and her fiance at the time bought my waterbed. And I just remember I had gotten so drunk on tequila because it was one of those things where they put the floater on the top.
Uh-huh.
Well, I was doing an appearance. So I kept coming back, and it was when I first got here. It was like an off-the-books thing I was doing, and they paid you in a bar tab. So I got all my friends to come on over. We all drink because I can't drink all this stuff by myself. And they kept putting the floaters on the top. Well, I would come back to the table. Here, we'll pour your margarita off the top. Well, I'm drinking all the tequila. Everybody else is drinking margarita. So by the time I got done, I'm like, I can't even walk. But I'd already made arrangements for somebody to drive me home. But the next day, my friends were supposed to come get that waterbed. And
Want some of this?
yeah.
I don't know anyone that drinks that doesn't have a tequila story.
There's always some weird, you end up
Yeah.
cutting your hair weird or something.
No, I was in college, and you know when I joined my fraternity, and then we had our pledge party, if you call it, when,
Right,
when
right.
you're asked to join,
Right.
and it was a tequila party, and it was just rock gut tequila,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
I'm meeting my new pledge brothers, blah blah blah, and I'm talking to one guy, getting to know him, and we're just drunk as shit, and I turn around to talk to somebody else, and when I turn back to the guy I was talking to, he's butt naked. and taking
God.
off all his clothes. And he's like, I got to go. And he ran out. It's like, holy shit.
Tequila makes your clothes
Yes.
fall off. That
Yes,
is
it
a true
does. That's why
statement.
they made the song.
That's a true statement. All right, final segment. Now, guys, you need to give some
I got
thought
mine.
to this. Oh, you got your 5.
Yeah.
Have you got your
Okay.
5?
Oh, God. The 5 that I like best, right?
Yes. Mine's not going to be like yours at all.
And what's funny, and I've never done like a taste test like this, but how your palate, excuse me, how your
Right.
palate, like I said, Tecate Light is something I like, and I didn't care for it at all maybe because I had other stuff on top of it. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's really interesting, though. You're right. I can't believe I didn't like Lone Star Light. Like
I do
that's something
too.
I will order like out at a bar if I
Yes.
see that they have it. I
Like-
will totally order it.
if I go see a show at the House of Blues, I'll buy like a PBR or a Lone Star Light, and I'll pay like $15 for it.
Yes, yeah.
Jesus.
It'll be a very expensive Lone Star Light. You're like, I can get this for 75 cents at the HEB.
can buy a 12-pack for less than this.
All right. Ready to roll whenever you are, Adam.
On the beach in Hawaii.
And we're back at Smoking and Toasting. It's show number 72, our final segment here. I want to thank my special guests today who have been such wonderful sports for the Light Beer Blind Taste Test 2.0, the lovely and always charming Maria Todd,
Thank you so much for having me.
and, of course, Mr. Steve Robison. Steve, thank you for being
Oh
here.
man, you get the phone call. You get to drink beer during the day. You know?
Wait, you want me to come and drink beer and I got to buy it? Oh, yeah, I'm already there.
See, I'm all over this. He's like, can you do me a favor? Can you please? I say, hell yes. No, you're doing me a favor.
Let's put it
Thank
this
you.
way. Any favors that involve drinking, we're here for you.
Well, that's I'm glad that you guys have this kind of loyalty, and I appreciate
Yes,
it. I
absolutely.
appreciate it very much. Ian has been on assignment. He will be back next week, so we're excited about
Yes.
getting Ian back on the show because it's not the same without him. I love you guys, but it's not the same without Ian. So we have been tasting light beers, and we're going to get to our results, our individual results for what we like the best. But first, we have poured a little tequila, and Steve's going to abstain from the tequila, and that's okay because everybody gets to abstain from one thing. So, however, Maria and I are going to be sampling this. This is Pepe Zavada's Z Añejo Tequila. Zavada Tequila, or Z Tequila, is based in Austin, Texas, but produced in the highlands of Jalisco. This tequila was the winner of the 2012 gold medal at the 2012 San Francisco World Spirits Competition. It's aged for 24 months in oak barrels, and it is surprisingly inexpensive. This was not a $30 bottle. And for Añejo, that's
I was gonna
very
say.
reasonable. Usually Añejo, you're talking 40 or 50, and I think this was just under 30, as I recall. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I have tried their extra Añejo, and it's a fabulous tequila. It is more expensive. It's going to be interesting to see. Have you already taken a sip?
I've
of
already
this,
taken
Maria?
it. Oh, I was supposed to sip it?
Get a ball.
Give me your
I've had it, and I just snorted. I had a slurp of it.
a slurp.
And
Yes. What were your thoughts on this?
it's a really easy sipping tequila. Like
Smooth.
if you like to drink tequila, because some people it's not, they can't take the bite. But I like tequila, and I think it's a really good sipping tequila. Like
It
you
is.
can actually put it in a glass and have it neat, or put an ice cube in there.
Right.
And it's really good. I wouldn't mix this in a margarita. I think you kind of be wasting it to put it in a margarita.
Now they do have a Blanco and a Reposado as well, and I'm betting that those might be great for margaritas.
Yeah, but this
really-
one, no, it's too good
this
to
re-
go in a margarita.
This really is more of a sipping tequila. I'm picking up notes of definitely the vanilla that you would expect from the oak barrel aging, but maybe even some almost like maple.
Yeah, I even got a
in
little
there?
tobacco-y kind of flavor too.
A smokiness, yes, absolutely.
thank you.
I know what you're talking about. That is really quite good. And again, for the price, I mean, this wouldn't surprise me if you told me you were pouring this out of a $75 bottle of tequila. It wouldn't surprise me at all for this. So what I think we found is a value leader here
Yes.
in the Pepe Zavada. This is the Z Añejo Tequila, and I will show this to
Yeah, show the label.
camera, hopefully without dropping it. I haven't been doing a light beer blind taste test. No, not me. But it's actually quite good, and I think it's available all over Texas for sure, and I'm not sure beyond the state of Texas whether they've established any more distribution or not. But
Getting a plug in for myself. Speaking for Specs Radio, I bet you can find some at Specs.
I bet you can. That's where I bought this bottle, as a matter of fact. So
And you guys know better than I, but from a value standpoint, is that a I mean,
fantastic for the price.
Okay.
Fantastic for the price. So you would say on, like, if we use the price to quality scale that we use for cigars, you would put this, I don't know, at maybe a 7 or a 7.5 on that scale, because a 5 means you get exactly what you pay for.
Right.
Right. So if you're even coming in at a 5.5 or a 6, that means you're getting more than what you paid for.
Right.
And so I would definitely put this in the 7 range. It's not my favorite tequila I've ever had, but my favorite tequila I've ever had is substantially more expensive than
Right.
that. So it's a pretty interesting comparison.
I think it's a good sipping tequila, and it's like they don't get caught up in because I think it's a big thing with tequilas, the bottle shapes.
Yes.
How they have them shaped like all these different things, and I'm not going to go into all the different things you can buy a tequila bottle shaped like.
Well, I don't know where you're shopping, but
Well, I'll tell you about it off the air. Anyway, this
the erotic cabaret sells tequila now. I didn't
I
realize
think
this.
you've seen some of those bottles. Anyway, I think this is good for the price, like you said.
Yeah.
And then also, like, if you just want a tequila that you're going to sit around and drink, maybe with a good friend, this is a good tequila for that. Where you're not trying to impress anybody by, ooh, look at the bottle shape. No, just drink the tequila.
All right, guys, let's take a look at our light beer ranking. So this is the way we did the taste test. We did 3 segments with 4 beers each, all blind taste tests. We ranked them based, 1 through 4 on each
Right.
one before we knew what they were. Then we found out what they were, and now that we know, we're going back and picking our top 5 out of the entire tasting. And so, Maria, if you'll start with number 5 and count us down to number 1. For this is your taste now. This is
All right.
what you like the best out of the entire sampling, and it was 12 tequilas. So even number 5 did pretty good out of 12. I'm
Okay.
sorry, not 12 tequilas, 12 light beers. I think I've
So-
had too much tequila.
Wait, you want me to go through the top 4, right?
You top 5.
Oh, my top 5. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
So my top 5 are.
go 5-1.
Gotcha. Number 5. I'm embarrassed to say it, but Miller Lite.
Miller Lite. Well, we was on your list
It's
last
in
time.
my top 5 again, and my Bud Light did not make it. So you know what? This year I'm not drinking Bud Light. That's it.
Your brother is going to be happy.
My brother and I are both going to drink Miller Lite because
This-
apparently we both like it.
This has converted you. So this is very interesting because these rankings, they're the only 2 beers that we repeated were Bud Light and Miller Lite that were in the last taste test. Those were our sort of, they call that control when you do an experiment. So that made me feel very scientific about the beer tasting.
As it should be.
So that's your number 5. What's number 4?
Okay, number 4 is the X Light.
The X Light, yes.
Okay, the one from Amstel Light that I didn't even know existed, but yeah, that was number 4. I'm
Okay.
discovering beers at this taste test. Number 3, the Bud Select, which I'm going to have to go look for because I like that better than Bud Light because it did not show up in any of my stuff. Number 2, the Michelob Ultra Light Lime.
Interesting. Oh,
I
that was
didn't know
that.
they made a lime beer.
I didn't either.
That was that first one from segment 3.
Yeah,
That was the one that
I
I
really
said-
like that.
Yeah, wow.
The one that you thought was, floor wax, but
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and my number 1.
Number 1.
I'm just gonna go with this, and this is because I don't know, old time's sake, but the
Wait,
Labatt's.
hang on. I just,
Uh-oh, sound
if
effect.
Ian were here, he would totally have done the sound effect button. So. Number 1,
the drum roll. And number 1 is going to be the Labatt's Blue Light.
the Labatt's Blue Light. Fascinating.
Okay.
Because that probably was the first light beer I ever drank.
Okay, but
Haven't had it in
but
forever.
it really was your favorite flavor-wise out of all
Yeah,
of
I
these.
really liked it. It was light. It was refreshing.
Did it take you back to Buffalo?
No, thank God. Because if it had, it wouldn't even be on the list. But it was light and refreshing. And that's what I wanted in a beer. Like, because I always think about drinking beer in hot weather.
Yeah.
So I want it to be ice cold, light, refreshing, and I can be able to drink a bunch of them.
All right. That's a good list, Maria. I like
All
it.
right.
Steve, let's go with you. Start at number 5.
All right, number 5, I went with the Bud Light Platinum.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
That's very interesting. That was the one with the it's more of a malt beverage,
Yeah,
right? But
it had
it's
a little kick to
still
it.
a beer, yes.
I
Okay.
like
And the
that
one
one.
that got our
Interesting.
producer in trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 4, kind of close to you, Miller Lite.
Miller
Came in
Lite.
at number 4.
How does
Wow.
Miller keep
But
this?
I never buy it. But
I know. How's it keep rearing its ugly head? We all like it, but we never buy it.
Number 3, I went with the Labatt's.
Okay.
Oh, very interesting. That was the very first beer we tasted
Yes.
in the tasting today.
Yes. Number 2, the elusive Budweiser Select.
Budweiser
Bud
Select.
Select.
I gotta go
all
find that.
And Steve Robison,
Yes.
number 1.
The X-Light was my favorite
Wow.
from
how about
Amstel.
that?
Never heard of this beer in my life, but damn fine.
Wow.
Damn
Wow,
fine.
that was
That's
good.
really interesting.
I hope it's not too
I was
pricey.
gonna say, I hope it's really cheap. Then we'll both be drinking lots of that.
That's
Come to
great.
my house, you know what you're getting.
That's great. All right. Well, here's my 5. And by the way, I will say that had I been able to do a 6, Miller Lite would have made my list as well.
Okay.
But it did not make the list because my number 5 was Bud Select.
Okay.
Wow.
Bud
Yeah.
Select was my number 5. At number 4, I picked Tecate Light,
Wow.
which I know you guys were not crazy about.
Yeah, but that's more of a cruise beer.
Yeah. Number 3 was the ever popular X Light.
Yes.
That made both of your lists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was my number 3. Number 2 was the Omission.
The
Gluten-free
gluten-free.
Ultimate Light. Yes, I thought that was a very tasty little number. And my number 1 for my number 1 favorite light beer from this tasting, number 1 was Yangling Light for me.
All right.
Yeah, so
The fake Asian beer.
the fake Asian beer, yes. So there you go. That was 3 very interesting and different lists. Now let's talk about what the commonalities were. All 3 of us chose the X-Light as one of our top 5.
Yes.
Was there anything else? I said Miller would have.
And the Bud Select.
Bud
made it in
Select,
there.
Bud Select made all 3 lists. Wow, very interesting. And I'd said if I'd gotten a 6th, it would have been Miller Lite. So that almost.
and I had Miller Lite on
I had
mine.
Miller Lite, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oddly enough, you guys didn't choose the gluten-free or the Yangling for either of your lists.
We'll
No.
leave that for you.
Yeah. I don't care about my health, Cruz. So the whole gluten-free thing.
Well, I have a feeling if I was really that concerned about health, I wouldn't have just done a 12 light
Yeah.
beer tasting. So
And topped it with the
so
tequila.
maybe that.
Yeah.
But hey, they were small. They were small sips, so moderation, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
12
Moderation.
beers in teeny glasses.
Well, you guys have been such wonderful guests for the show. Thank you very much.
Can
for
we
being
please
here.
come back and do this again?
Can you? Absolutely. You're welcome anytime.
This was
Yes.
awesome.
We'll
This
have
was
you
a lot
back.
of fun.
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for being here and for doing this, and thanks to Adam on the Wheels of Steel for making the show happen. We are very excited about some of the things that we have coming. We're lining up some really awesome interviews. If you haven't already listened, by the way, go back on either YouTube or on the Apple podcast section of iTunes, or back in the Google Play store for Android. Go back and check out our show with Rocky Patel. It was show number, I don't remember which one it was now. It's about 3 or 4 shows ago. So go back and listen to that. We interviewed him when we were in Vegas, and that was a lot of fun. We just enjoyed doing the show so much. And to my buddy Ian, looking forward to next week. And to the rest of you, thank you very much for being a part of Light Beer Taste Test number 2. And as we like to say when we end the show, cheers.
Cheers.
Absolutely.
I love how Steve grabbed
I'm taking the whole rest of this bottle.
Super fun, guys.
No, that
Thank
was
you.
great.
Wow. And that was my first Facebook Live. I never knew how it worked.
Yeah.
I can't believe some of my friends actually started watching.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you for sharing the Facebook Live. I was talking about this in the meeting, is that, Facebook, if you just put up a comment and say, hey, I really like this or that or whatever, a very small percentage of your friend list even sees that now. It's the way Facebook, gates things. But they're so interested in promoting Facebook Live
Yeah.
that if you share Facebook Live, it goes to your entire friend list.
And if I'm on Facebook and I'm scrolling through and I see a friend of mine, just a single person on Facebook Live, I don't pay attention to it. But like stuff like this,
Right.
Even if I don't know what it is, I find myself checking just to see what's going on.
Yeah. What is
Oh
Joe
my God,
doing
they
on
did
Facebook
make it
Live?
They're like,
Joe, shut up.
Exactly. But if it's a group thing, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all say bye to Facebook Live.
I'm writing.
Facebook Live, we love you. Mwah, 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 mwah.